All right, so welcome, and we're working with Natarajasana, the king dancer or the king pose, the pose of bliss. So I want to show a couple of images. So anytime we work with standing postures, we really are really engaging the outer hip, the gluteus minimus, and the tensor fascia lata. These are stabilizing muscles. So this is a Vrikasana image right here. Okay. So we'll work with those a little bit before we get to. We also really need to engage the abdominals, rectus abdominis. Beautiful image here. So we'll hit that a little bit as well. Here is a image of, this is how the Lord Nataraja is often depicted. And we've been talking about in class, we've been talking about the forces of nature. So he's grounded. In fact, he's standing on a little being, and that's often said to be an encouragement for our consciousness to elevate above ignorance. Okay, so here he is standing on there. And then you might be able to see he's got a snake in one hand, he's got fire in the other hand, he's got a musical instrument in a third hand, the fourth hand kind of reaching towards the ground. So those elements of forces of nature, matter, energy, fire, right, and space. Beautiful. And then here we go, one more image of the pose. Mine doesn't look like that, but that certainly is a gorgeous rendition, right? Beautiful. So we will we'll start on our backs, and we're going to work a bit in the back body, the side body, the front body, obviously, where some back bending. And then we'll kind of work up to hands and knees. We'll work on our knees a little bit. So starting on your back, with either the blanket spread out over your mat or on your little strip of carpet there, so you can easily slide. Stretch your legs long. Pull your toes back towards your shins, press through your heels, reach your arms overhead. Get a nice, just all body stretch. We call it that pandiculation. So if you have animals, pets, you watch them wake up in the morning, they get that big body stretch. So get that big body stretch going. And I'll meet you over there. I'll guide in a minute. If you just have popped into class, 2 blocks would be helpful, and a strap, and something to balance with, like a piece of furniture that's nearby, or a chair, or some wall space. So if you need to take some time to get that all together, please do. All right, so with the knees bent now, soles of the feet to the floor, just let your knees move back and forth in a gentle manner. So arms can be at the goalpost, in the goalpost shape at your sides. And this is just really a scanning, initial scanning, but it also will do some some shapes that will help support our peak pose. So the next time your knees fall over to the right, just let them rest there to the right and stretch your left arm long, reaching your pinky up towards the ceiling and maybe taking your gaze towards your left hand. So here we're opening along the left lateral side. We know that we've talked about this before many times in class, and you can come back to center and just do the same side. Go a few times to the same side, knees to the right, left arm extended, and then inhale back to the starting position. So in order to work and get maximum benefit out of working like back bending, say, we really want the lateral sheath to be quite open. We also want the spiral sheath. We want to do some twisting and be open there in our spine, and that's going to help us. It's going to help us to be able to work in the back bending shapes. Great. Next time you come up to center, drop knees over to the left and reach the right arm up. Maybe take your gaze to your right hand. And then sliding back to the starting position, same direction, knees to the left, right arm reaches long. Allow yourself to have this multi-directional, multi-sheath stretching and opening, right? Good. Then we'll come back to the starting position. Let's bring knees into chest, cross at the ankles, and just rock a few times from one kidney space to the other, back and forth. Very good. And then you can keep the ankles crossed or not, but on your next, rest back in the center, and on your next inhale, bring everything in towards the center. And then on your inhale, press your knees away and open up back to the floor. And exhale, round and pull everything in. And inhale, press the knees away, open up. Just feel the work in. Now, if this bothers, say, the back of your neck, you can rest your hands, rest your head in your hands and do the same thing. We're just doing a little yogi curl up and asking the rectus abdominis to wake up. Wake up, we got some work to do here. So out and in, exhale brings everything together. Inhale, stretch everything long. Or separate the knees away from the chest. Yep. And then you can set the soles of your feet down to the floor. And here you're going to take your block on the side, the lowest setting, the side with the most surface area. Place that right underneath your sacrum with your knees bent. And then you'll draw one knee into your chest, other leg goes long. So here, encouraging some opening in our hip flexor, the leg that's extended. This is, if you see that image in your mind's eye of the pose, the lifted leg, we're gonna really need to have this open hip flexor. Good, switch it up. Opposite leg long, knee towards your chest. Now, if for any reason this is not comfortable for your low back, just remove the block and just do this on the floor. Keep the back of your neck long, everyone. And then some of you might just feel okay with stretching both legs long. If not, go back to one side at a time. One side at a time. Feels a little bit better in my body to go one side at a time. Yeah, good. Then soles of the feet to the floor, lift your hips, take the block away, and come back down, resting in a position of comfort. And now just work the feet a little bit, standing postures. We need to have the feet and ankles warmed up. So lift the toes, and then lift the heels, and then lift the toes, and lift the heels. Good, just back and forth a few times there, lifting the toes, lifting the heels. You'll find that this will go right up through the spine. You'll have some movement all the way up through your head, likely with this. Good. Great, and then bring your knees to hover over your chest. Take the back of your thighs here with your hands. If that doesn't work in your body, you can always have a belt, right, if the legs are a little further away. And then just flex and extend through the right leg. And have your ankle involved as well. So as you extend up towards the ceiling, flex toes back towards your shins. And then as you bend, point your toes. Other, good. And then switch that. So now as you extend your leg up towards the ceiling, point the toes. And then as you bend, flex. Okay. And then we'll come to just let the feet rest, and then we'll take the other leg. Same thing as you bend and extend through the leg. Have the ankle, the foot involved as well. Good. Switch it up. So the next time you extend up towards the ceiling, you have your ankle in the opposite orientation. And then both legs up, and circle the feet. Circle the feet, both directions. And then you can release your feet back to the floor. Take one more round or so of the windshield wiper movements. Just loosen up in the pelvis once again. And then we'll roll to one side. So now you can bend your elbow, rest your head on your hand, or you could lie on your outstretched arm. We'll take the top leg, bring it back. Take your foot with your hand, or take your pants with your hand, and we'll do a half bow here. So we'll hold this for 2 more rounds of breath. Then release and go to the other side. And same thing, other side. Great, and then we'll come on to our bellies. So when you come down onto your belly, make a little pillow with your hands. So you'll take your hands and lay them, stack them one on the other, and rest your forehead on your back of your hands. Reach through your legs, get your legs nice and long, and then just some easy lifting. So inhale to lift your head and chest, and exhale, lower back down. And repeat this, just 6 to 12 times, just on your own rhythm. Inhale and press up. Exhale, release down. Very good. And then bring your hands to the sides of your body, underneath your shoulders. But instead of coming up into this cobra, we're going to reach the hands out to the sides, pretty far, and then we'll press up from there. So we call this the seal pose. So pressing up. Now gather navel up and in. Good, then slowly release down. Take the hands, stack the hands, make a little pillow, rest your forehead there, bend through your knees, and just come back and forth with your feet. Release your legs back to the floor. And now from this position, keep your elbows where they are and wing your hands out to the side. Slide them back towards you and press up. Draw your navel up and in. Draw your navel up and in. Very good. Draw your navel up and in. And then exhale, release down. Make it a little pillow with your hands. Release your forehead to the pillow. Bend your knees and take your feet back and forth. Right, now release your legs to the floor, and with your forehead resting on your hands now, draw your left knee, slide your left knee up towards your left waist. So you're trying to keep the inner leg as close to the floor as possible, okay? And you might not have this leg perpendicular to your torso. The knee might be quite a bit further away, but here we go. This is kind of the tree stance on the belly. You can slide that leg back in place and try the other side. So I'm working the inner seam of the leg here. Then slide your left leg back in place and go one more time on each side. Take one full round of breath in the posture. And then the next time you're back into the original position, so legs are long, and you've got your forehead rested on that little pillow. Now slide your hands beside your low ribs, press yourself up onto your hands and knees. And here, if you know that you're going to need some padding for your knees, just go ahead and set that up. Set up a blanket or some other way to pad your knees. And you can come to table and take a few rounds of cat-cow. Have your blocks handy at the front of your mat. Great, and then come to a neutral spine, turn your toes under, turn the toes under and reach back towards your heels and then rock forward. And then reach back towards your heels and then rock forward. Move this way, back and forth a few times. And then next time you're forward, take your forearms to the floor, interlace your hands, press into your forearms, lift, take a forward tilt in your pelvis. So keep it going away from navel. And then straighten your legs and come into dolphin. And bend and extend one leg at a time, go back and forth. So walking the dog, we call this one in downward facing dog. Just do the same thing here. And then come to some stillness. And you could rock yourself forward a little bit and backwards. And then next inhale, come back down to your knees. Reach your hips back towards your heels. Straighten your arms, undo the interlacing, tenting your fingers. Arms are lifted off the floor. Good. On your next inhale, you'll slide your hands back towards your knees and stand up on your knees. Reach your arms up overhead. Palms together. And then on your exhale, fold. Chest towards floor and stack your hands at your low back. Palms out. Inhale, stand up, sweep up. Exhale, fold again and stack your hands at your low back, opposite hand on top. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold or hinge, stacking your hands at your waist. You don't need to bring your forehead all the way to the floor. Just inhale, come back up, and then opposite orientation of your hands. Good. And then inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, bring hands through heart center. Good. Take one of your blocks between your ankles. Come into Virasana, sitting back on your block, and take 2 blocks if you need 2 blocks. And take your strap now, just strap behind the head, forward and up overhead. So just, we call this shoulder flossing. So you're just moving the strap behind you, in front of you, and the spacing of your hands will determine the ease in this. So if your shoulders are really tight, open up your hands a little further away from one another. And then you can start to bring one hand behind you, the other up over your head, and go back and forth this way a few times. So we're working the shoulders for our final pose, loosening up in the shoulders. Good. Then the next time, I'm just gonna make my orientation so that you see my back. So the next time the strap is up over your head, you'll release the left hand, bring the right hand above your head, internally rotate the left shoulder, left arm, so that you can take the strap with the palm facing out. Then pull the strap apart with your arms, and notice your left shoulder. Can you draw your left shoulder onto your back? So sort of down and in, so that the left shoulder is not popping forward in this shape. Gomukhasana arms. Yeah. Good. Then you release the left hand, bring both hands back up to the strap. A little shoulder flossing. Then release the right hand. Left hand is holding onto the belt above your head. Internally rotate the right shoulder so that you can grab the strap with the palm facing out. No need to bring the hands super close together. We'll just pull the strap apart. But now notice your right shoulder, if it's pitched forward, see if you can get your shoulder blade in and down. And we'll go here for 3, 2, 1, release, bring the strap back up above your head, and a couple rounds of the shoulder flossing. Great, then you can bring the strap, set it over to the side, come back to your knees. Okay, and we'll come to standing on our knees. Standing on our knees. So put your weight into your left knee and bring your right foot forward. So you're in the proposal pose. Hands on the top of your thigh, and just allow yourself to come forward into a lunge and press back up. Now, we come forward into the lunge. The left leg is in this, the hip flexor is very open, right? But the other thing I want you to notice, when you firmly press into your front foot, you'll feel the work of those outer hip muscles. Though that work, those muscles are what help stabilize us when we are in a one-legged standing posture, which we're going to end up doing. So back and forth a few times, but slowly enough, you really feel that work. Really feel that work. And then the next time you come up to the 90-90, back up just slightly, put your hip back slightly so you can turn the front toes up, straighten the front leg, heel on the floor, and then slide or hinge forward slightly. If the balance is tricky, use your chair or use your blocks. Press your heel into the floor, that front heel, and draw it back isometrically. So you're pulling this right hip back in space. Working the hamstrings here, of course. They're going to be coming into play big time in the posture. And then you can slide your heel back, set your sole of your foot to the floor, both knees to underneath your hips, and inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold, put your hands to your low back, one palm on top of the other. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold, opposite hand on top. Inhale, sweep up, lift up, arms up. Exhale, fold, stacking hands at low back. Inhale, reach up, sweep up. Exhale, opposite hand on the top. Great. And then inhale, sweep up. Exhale, let your hands float through heart center. Great. And to your sides, Tadasana, upper body. Put your weight into your right knee and put the left foot forward. Nice level pelvis, hands to the front of the thigh, and just begin that same movement on this side. So you're coming into the lunge, you feel this nice opening here, work here, but as you press up, you really feel your outer hip muscles, the glutes, the TFL, the piriformis working to help you stabilize. Beautiful. Next time you come up to the 90-90, just find your balance by setting your hips back a bit. Turn the front toes up. Find your heel into the floor and slide your hands down your leg as much as works in your body. We're got a big stretch here of the hamstring. Draw the heel isometrically back so that you're pulling your left hip back in space. You could, if you have your chair there, your blocks, you could also be using the blocks to assist in your balance. It's It's all good. You start to understand what you need to make your practice successful. Good. And then you can take the sole of your foot back to the floor. You're in the 90-90. And inhale, bring your knees back to center. Good. And here now, standing on your knees, just take some hip circles in both directions. So we stay standing on the knees, and now the blocks can be right. You can turn, if you can turn your toes under and have your heels up, that's great. You can also put the block right beside, right to the outside of your ankles. Okay? So we'll inhale, both arms up, and then we're going to exhale and reach our right hand back to the block or to our heels. A little more work to go to the heels. So the block is fine. And then we inhale, bring both arms back up again. Exhale, left hand to the block or your heel. So we've got this side lateral opening with the back bend. All right, so we'll go back and forth a few times, inhaling both arms up and exhaling hands to the block. Now, as you go back and forth, if the block does not work, if you cannot get to the block, just bring your hand back to your hamstring. Just touch the hamstring and then back up. And then reach the left hand to the left hamstring and back up. So we're just preparing the back for the back bending work. Let's do one more on each side. The next time you come up, standing on your knees with your hands overhead, take the tops of your feet to the floor and come down towards the child's pose. Go ahead and take the opportunity to put your blocks at the front of your mat right now and come towards the child's pose. Any amount. You might be up away from the heels, might have your hips on your heels. Good. Then inhale, come to cow. Exhale, turn toes under, press hips up and back, downward facing dog. Then we'll come up onto our toes, lift the heels, reach the heels towards the floor, up onto the toes, reach the heels towards the floor. A few times here. See if you can get a little stretch. You could go one leg at a time as well, or just really get into the Achilles tendon, the calf muscles. Good. Then on your next inhale, come back to your knees. Set your blocks at any level. I'm going the highest level, and bring your right foot forward between the blocks. Turn the back toes under and press your back leg straight. Lift the pelvic floor. Draw shoulder blades down and in. Then leave left hand where it is and spin open into a twist. Draw the right hip back. Reaching fingertips towards the ceiling. And then exhale, bring your right hand back to the block, step your right foot back, high lunge on the blocks. So draw your navel in towards your midline. Now engage your glutes. Good, then knees to the floor, bring hips back towards heels, keep the arms, your hands on the blocks. And externally rotate the arms, so reach the triceps down towards the floor. Inhale, stand up on your knees. Bring your left foot forward between the blocks. Turn the back toes under, lift the back leg. Coming into the lunge. Lift the pelvic floor. Draw the left hip back in space. Then right hand stays on the block as you spin the left arm up. And you're in a twist. Exhale, left hand back to the block. Take your left foot back to your right. High Dandasana. Draw the navel up and in. Engage your buttocks. Rock through your feet now, pressing your heels forward and backward. And then inhale, drop to your knees. Reach your hips back towards your heels. Extend your arms out. Roll your triceps down towards the floor. Roll your triceps down towards the floor. Then inhale, come up to standing on your knees. Reach your palms forward so you're in the Tadasana. We're in Tadasana on our knees. Okay. Couple of props that will help. You can have your strap nearby. If you need some more padding underneath your knees, take the time to do that. If you have something you can put your hand on for balance, if you're next to a chair, my chair is a little far away, but I got my couch right here. But if you're okay standing on your knees and balancing there, you lift your right foot towards your buttocks. Maybe you can take the back of your pants, or you can take your foot with your hand. You could take the outside of your foot or the inside of your foot. That means that the arm goes into external rotation. Or you can take the palm onto the top of your foot. If that is not happening in your body, that's why you've got a strap. You take the strap on the top of your foot, right? And there is your shape. Strap to the top of the foot, okay? Now, if you've got the foot, once you've got the foot, you can inhale the opposite arm up. Press your foot into your hand and resist back with the hand. Reach the opposite arm fingertips up towards the ceiling. You don't need this hand for balance. Reach. Chin is level with the earth. Gaze, not necessarily tipping your head up, but your gaze is upward. Just your eyes, gaze up. And release. Roll shoulders up, down, and back. Maybe have a seat on your heels for a second, especially if you have any pain in your knees. Hopefully not. You've got them padded well enough. And then we'll take the other side. All right, we'll take the other side. So you might not have the same availability in the other side. You can play around with, so it's left side now, left leg. You can play around with the right foot. Top of the foot on the floor or toes under. You might feel more balanced with the toes under. And then reach around for that foot, either outside, inside. So when I go inside, I've got to externally rotate the shoulder and the arm, or the palm, my palm against the back of my hand. And I have to have a pretty open thigh to do this, don't I? So this is where, if you don't have that openness there, you're going to take your pant leg or your strap around your foot. If you can, inhale the opposite arm up. Reach your fingertips for the ceiling. And this is our shape. We're going to come to it standing up, of course, but here we are. in most of the shape of the posture. Good. Reaching one last round of breath here. And then you can release that back foot and release your hips down to your heels or to a block. Roll shoulders up, down, and back. Good. If you've got a blanket on the floor, free padding, you can toss that over to the side. Come to all fours. Turn toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. Okay, do a little pedal through your legs. So downward dog is sort of a counter pose to what we're working with here. So it should feel quite nice to come into the downward dog, and then walk feet towards hands, bending through your knees generously, hands to your thighs, press up to standing, Tadasana. And then once you're in Tadasana, bounce the heels. Bounce the heels. Good. And now this is where I'm going to use my chair. Chair could be back of the couch, could be wall space, but I'm going to take my chair and I'm going to have the back of my chair for my left hand. I'm going to stand sideways to the back of the chair, and I'm just going to let my right leg swing. You could have your hand against the wall, but just let the right leg swing. And then slow it down so that as you swing back, you hinge at the waist. As you swing back, you hinge at the waist, and then you come forward. Good. Then set your right foot down beside your left foot. And let's really open the toes and open the sole of the left foot. And then just bring the right leg up to 90 degrees and feel the work of the left hip. The left hip. So I'm just going to turn this way. Pull that hip in. Pull it in. Really tighten the outer glutes, the big butt muscles, tighten them up. Good. Then we'll release. Okay. And now I'm set up for the other side. So weight into the right foot, let the left foot swing. Left leg swing. Just let it swing easy. Yep. There we go. And then slow it down. So as it swings back, you sort of hinge, then forward, hinge. Then really feel, see what's happening in the right hip is it's collapsing out to the right. So what happens is we collapse out. So pull that hip in as you lift the left leg in this balance. Good, good, good. For 3, 2, 1, release. Tadasana, bounce the heels. Bounce the heels, let it go all the way through your body. Bounce the heels. Okay, so hopefully if you're able to see this, I'll talk you through it too though. So sometimes when we talk about having struggles with our one-legged balance, so when we walk, if we have a efficient walking stance, mid stance is a one-legged balance, right? That is a one-legged balance. So as you work with balance, one of the things you could do is just really walk slowly and feel as you come to balancing on that front leg, you pull the hip muscles, you pull the outer hip in towards midline. That's essentially what we're doing with all one-legged balancing poses. Okay, so now I'm going to take my chair and I'm going to have the back of my chair facing me. You could also be using wall space here. Okay, and I'm going to find a nice stable stance. I'm going to have my hands on the chair. If you know that you need the strap, you're going to have your strap handy. Pick up my strap just to demo if I can. Strap, there we go, stay there. All right, so weight into the left foot, left hand on the chair, bend through the right knee and take your foot with your hand in any of those positions. So outside, top of the foot, inside. If that is not happening, you use your strap. And it's best to take the strap. I take the strap, put the loop on my foot, then turn my hand so that I can have this, so I can slide my arm all the way up along the strap. Then I can tilt forward slightly at the hip, press into the strap with my foot, and resist with my hand. If I'm using my hand, I'm pressing my foot into my hand, and I'm tilted or I'm hinged slightly at the waist, and I'm pressing foot into hand, resisting with my hand. I've got my left hand on the chair. As you feel ready, reach the left hand up. Then come out the same way you went in, setting both feet down to the floor, coming back to Tadasana and bouncing the heels. Bounce the heels. So any kind of fascial adhesion, right? This is a lot of work, so we're loosening that up when we bounce the heels. Okay, so now other side. Other side. So we begin with hands on the back of the chair or against the wall. Back of the chair allows you to have a little more freedom of your upper body, I feel like, but bending the left knee now, weight firmly in the right foot. And you could also just be here. Okay, you could be here. And as you tilt forward, you're not taking the leg, you're just working that same thing we did earlier. You're working the standing posture, right? You're working the hamstring. If you get a little cramp in your hamstring, put your foot in the opposite orientation. So instead of pointing your toes, keep your toes working towards your shins. If no cramps are happening, and you can take the back foot in any one of those orientations, we take the back foot, we press foot into hand, resist with the hand, hinging slightly at the waist. Remember our photo, that beautiful dancer photo, we're not really bent over too much. It's really a pretty upright stance. And then reach opposite arm, up, 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 up. So right foot's grounding, right hip is in towards midline, right arm extended, gaze, eyes just gaze up, perhaps forward, but chin stays level. Back of the neck is long. And come out the same way you went in, hand to the chair, release the foot, foot down, Tadasana, bounce the heels. Bounce the heels, bounce the heels, bounce the heels. Maybe the little ninja feet. Okay, so now let's move the chair out of the equation. And we'll do a little flow with some variation of Natarajasana. Inhale and reach your arms up. And as you exhale, bend your knees, float through center, hands to the floor, step or jump back to downward facing dog. Lift your kneecaps here in downward dog. This should be a nice counter to what we just did. So if you need to bend through one knee and the other, that feels pretty nice. And then on your next inhale, walk your feet up to your hands. Set your hips back, reach your arms forward, Utkatasana. Draw the outer hips in towards the inner hips, or draw the outer hips in towards midline, and then inhale, sweep up, stand up, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Tadasana. Right foot forward, left foot back. Inhale, find warrior one. Good. Now exhale as you straighten through the front leg, kind of rock yourself forward, lift your back foot. Try to take your back foot, so it's left leg, with the left hand, and find dancer. Inhale, reach the top fingers, the right fingers towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands down to your sides, back to Tadasana. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hands through heart center, float down to the floor. Hands to the floor, step or jump back, downward facing dog. Take 2 rounds of breath here in your downward dog, finding a nice counter movement to what we've just been doing. And then on your next inhale, walk your feet up to your hands, set hips back, reach arms forward, Utkatasana. Draw your outer hips in towards midline, like you're squeezing a block between your legs. Then inhale, stand up, reach up. Exhale, hands float through heart center to Tadasana. Left foot forward, right foot back. Find warrior one on this side. Reach the fingertips up, little baby back bend here. We've got this back bend down now, don't we? And then you're just going to exhale and sort of rock yourself forward, lean yourself forward, come onto that front standing leg and lift the back leg, finding your foot. Whew. Falling out is legal. And coming into a variation of Natarajasana. Reaching fingertips. Exhale, feet to the floor, hands to your sides. Tadasana. Last inhale up. And now widen your stance. And exhale, come through a squat, taking your hands to your knees, or your forearms to your knees, and hands to the floor, as if you're going to go to crow. Your knees, your elbows kind of into your knees, giving yourself some balance here to come down to your seat. Feet out in front of you, hands on the front of your shins. Take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Come to a neutral spine, bring your hands way behind you, and take a figure 4 right here. So right ankle onto left knee. Hands are, if it's too much or it doesn't work for whatever reason, just go to your back and do this. So I'm just pressing, isometrically pressing the right knee away, getting some nice stretch in the outer hip. Then I'll release that foot to the floor, left ankle on right thigh, opposite orientation. Great. Now you might need to come back to this another couple of times if we did a lot of work in the hips. So if you find at the end of our Shavasana, you still need some, just come on back here. But we'll take hands behind the thighs now, lower ourselves down to our backs, pull our knees into the chest, circling, going back and forth, finding soles of the feet to the floor, a little windshield wiper movement back and forth. Anything else you need if you want to come into more of a traditional twisting shape on your back, one side, give opposite side the same amount of time. And then just as intentionally as anything else we've done in practice, find your Shavasana. So legs release to the floor. And feel the heaviness of your legs. Let your pelvis be heavy. Arms are heavy. Just see if you can let everything really go here. Everything release to the floor. Release any pursing around your eyes. Release any holding between the brow. Slightly lift the corners of your mouth. Soften your hands. Soften your heart. Notice if you have any feeling of being in a hurry. There's time for everything. Here you might place a hand on your heart space. We just really worked opening that space. So hand on the heart space and gratitude for anyone that makes practice possible for you. as we dance through the cycles of life. May we find both ease and expression, grounding and lifting. And the beautiful shape of the dancer.